So I really think that we are already living in a dictatorship. And I'm trying to wrap my head around what that means in terms of day-to-day life. Will there be electricity? Will there be groceries? Are we going to be allowed to own our property? Are we going to be allowed to keep our monetary investments? And if somewhere along the way, if we'd angered or had a disagreement in the past with someone who is now a part of the MAGA movement, does that make us more vulnerable to be reported on? And finally, I'd like to get an idea of when you think these budget cuts that they just preliminarily approved are going to trickle down. I have a father on Medicaid in a nursing home. Mm-hmm. And, do I need to start working in that spare bedroom? And well, I'll list offline. And thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. I would get the spare bedroom ready because they seem pretty committed to gutting Medicaid. Now, Mike Johnson just came out and said there will be no cuts to Medicaid. There's no cuts to Medicaid. Actually, he didn't say there will be no cuts. He said there are no cuts to Medicaid in our bill. Well, no, there's not. What the bill says is Congress must find the administration must find $1.5 trillion in savings at the federal level. Now, everybody knows, they've already identified, they want to do $800 billion to Medicaid, and they want to do about $500 billion to the Farm Bill, which is food stamps. I mean, there's just no surprise there. So, get ready for Grandpa to move back in with you, or Dad, number one. When will this happen? It will happen after October, because that's when the new fiscal year starts. And we'll learn a lot more about it over the next few months. They basically have to have a budget together and in place by June, because we're already outside the budget. We're already spending money outside our budget. We are technically, not quite in default. That's not quite the right word, but we're already there. We've passed this, and they're just they're holding things together with bubble gum and baling wire. Number one. Number two, to address your question of are we already in a dictatorship, and does that mean that we, can't have property and things like that? I have lived and worked in countries that are essentially dictatorships, and from Russia to African countries to South American countries and Southeast Asian countries. And the one thing that always surprised me, or at least at first surprised me, was how normal life seems. As long as you don't speak out, as long as you don't have the job that I have, you're really, and you keep your head down, you're really probably pretty safe. Just don't speak out at work, don't speak out in public, don't speak out in private, just, keep your head down. However, all that said, the biggest downside of living in a dictatorship, the biggest problem, the biggest crisis that dictatorships produce, is that the dictators always steal from everybody else. I mentioned this yesterday or the day before when we had, in fact, Louise did a song. It's the Putinization of America. In Hungary, the best estimate, this was Anne Applebaum, is that about 20% of the entire economy is being skimmed off the top and going into the pockets of oligarchs and Viktor Orban. In Russia, it's estimated to be 25%, about a quarter of the economy. And the result is that those countries, Hungary has become the poorest country in Europe, when they used to be one of the richest countries in Europe. They were certainly the richest country in Eastern Europe. And that's the big price that the average person pays for their government becoming an autocracy or a dictatorship, is that everybody is impoverished. And if you try to speak out against that, if you try to organize labor unions, if you try to call out the corruption the way Alexei Navalny did, then the heavy hand of government comes down on you. Then they prosecute you. Then they put you in prison. But, you know, if you just keep your head down, life can seem quite normal in a dictatorship.